evening, everyone, and welcome to the University of Dundee Master of Education webinar. My name is Helen Spiropoulos, and I'm the Admissions Manager at Stafford Associates. And joining me this evening all the way from the university is Marie. Good evening to you, Marie.
Good evening. Thank you very much for coming along tonight.
And yes, I can see here on my right-hand side, there are quite a few of you that have joined us. Thank you once again for taking the time to be with us this evening. How we are going to conduct the webinar this evening is I'm just very briefly going to introduce you to Stafford, what our role is in Africa as well as in the Middle East. I'm then going to hand you over to Marie, who's going to talk about the program. And right at the end of the presentation, you will have the chance to type in any questions that you want Marie or myself to answer. What I will be doing is I'll be looking at these questions quite carefully because a lot of them are identical, if not quite similar. So I'm going to start grouping those questions together. So do listen out for your question and that very important answer. Okay, so let's get started. Who is Stafford Associates? Well, Stafford was established in 1993, and we are a resource centre for distance learning education in the Middle East as well as in Africa. Now, we are currently the resource centre for 5 UK universities, one of which is the University of Dundee. Now, what our function here is to assist students throughout their application process. We do advise which programs to choose that would obviously suit your personal and professional needs. And we do offer a variety of programs ranging from certificates right through until MBAs, MECs and doctorates. So we really do have all the type of programs that you are looking for. Over and above the support that we provide students throughout the application process, we also assist students academically and provide some administrative support. I'm now going to hand you over to Marie, who's going to chat about the program, and I will join you towards the end of the presentation for all your questions. Over to you, Marie.
Thank you very much, Helen. Thank you. Okay, hello everybody and welcome. My name is Marie Beresford-Dey. What I'm going to do tonight is just to give you a little bit of background information about the university before we home in and look at the MEd itself and what it can offer you. Okay, so who are we here at the University of Dundee? We like to make a difference as a university to the here and now and in the real world. We do this by making sure that we use and develop up-to-date research, thinking about interdisciplinary approaches and what that means for teams that not only are you working with, but we're also working with. We adopt that enterprising approach, and that comes through within the curriculum that you are studying. We act locally and globally. We have students around the world as well as here in Dundee. And we hope to transform lives and prepare you for working towards those 21st century problems. We have a high global reputation, and we're very proud of our rankings that you can see there on the screen. We're very frequently placed at the top of these rankings. We have a substantial global reputation with students from over 150 countries around the world. In addition, no matter where in the world that you are studying from, we can promote, or we do promote, a real sense of community between our students and us here on campus, and we feel that this is what sets us apart. So at Dundee, we can offer you a learning community with one of the world's top 200 universities. And during the course of your studies, we will offer you excellent teaching and learning support. So just moving in a little bit closer now to the MEd itself. The MEd is a professional development programme undertaken at level 11 on the Scottish qualification framework. And although the MEd is recognised by the General Teaching Council for Scotland, it's not a teaching qualification. As different national governments have different prerequisites for teaching, you are advised to check with the relevant government or registering body for their requirements. I'm sure some of you will have questions around this later on. Okay, but we are a professional development programme who will offer you, like I say, up-to-date information on different teaching practices and the theories that align with those. Okay, we treat all students equally, so although you will be studying at a distance, you still have same access to student support as the students here on campus have. We can offer you an international recognised postgraduate qualification within education and a focus from early years right through to higher education. We are also one of the few UK institutions who offer qualifications recognised by the International Baccalaureate, the IB. I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. So the benefits then of undertaking an MEd, as I say, is a programme that brings together the theory with the practice. It encourages you to draw on your experiences and to align those with the literature that you're reading. It enables you to question why we do certain things and whether there are alternative ways where practice can be enhanced. All of which help you to develop or extend your confidence and enhance your professional career. And as tutors, we're always receiving feedback from our students that continuously show how their practice is being influenced by their learning, but not just their own practice, but they're also influencing colleagues around them, which ultimately then impacts on the end users, which is the students in this case. So what can you expect from us? You can expect online tutorials, whether that's via email or whether it's via a webinar, similar to what you're experiencing just now. These are carried out with your module tutor. You can have an opportunity for local face-to-face workshops, and the materials for the learning are placed online. You also have an opportunity for formative assessment, and this works directly or enables you to work directly towards the final assessment, and we give you lots of feedback attached to that. And also, as mentioned previously, you still obtain support no matter you're studying at a distance, and our Academic Skills Centre offers support with all aspects of academic writing. Okay, to obtain an MEd, you do need to complete 180 credits of study in any of the named awards that you see on the screen there. So, for example, Master of Education in Leading Learning and Teaching. That top award is our generic award, and it does provide you with lots of flexibility within your study. However, if you require a subject specialism, you may wish to take one of the other awards there, for example, Master of Education in Educational Leadership or International Education or so on. You can see that there are a number of options available to you, and these will link up to some of the modules that you will be studying, for which we have a range of optional modules which will enable you to carry out the study and the assignment without being in the workplace environment if you're not currently working, as long as you have relevant teaching experience to draw from. Each optional module is worth 30 credits at level 11. It's what we call a single credit module. You can see there's quite a range there from international education through to autism. In addition to these, we also have 3 core modules. 2 of those are the single credits, so 30 credits, and that's the reflecting upon practice module and research methods. And we also, for those who are going on to complete the entire MEd programme, the double credits, which is worth 60 credits at level 11, dissertation, which is the end of study big project. Okay, to demonstrate how the named awards work, the modules that link in with those, you can see this table on the screen which outlines this. So from the Leading Learning and Teaching Awards, the top one there again highlighted in bold, you can choose any 2 optional modules from the previous list that you saw. And your dissertation topic, should you go through to the full MEd, will need to be on any relevant topic, educational topic, and that is your choice, and you discuss that with your supervisor. So we don't provide you with a list of topics to choose from. It really is centered around your needs. If you choose to opt for one of the named awards that gives you an area of specialism, so for example, Master of Education in International Education, you can see that you will need to take the optional module of the same name plus an additional module. And also within that scenario, your dissertation will also need to be underpinned by a subject area that focuses on international education. I mentioned earlier that we do offer International Baccalaureate Awards, or the IB. For these awards, once you commence your studies at the university, you will need to register directly with the IB, and we do provide you with guidance for this. We have a dedicated member of staff who will support you through this process. We also have, we'll also expect you to engage with some of the IB literature, and again, you'll be given support on that. However, we have 3 different awards. The first of those is the Certificate in Leadership Practice, and you're not required to have any IB teaching experience for that award, but you will need to undertake 2 modules to obtain that. And the first of those is Leadership and Organisational Development, followed by Reflection upon Leadership in the IB. So although you don't have IB, may not have IB teaching experience, again, we do provide you with support, and we do provide guidance on the type of literature that you should be drawing from. The next award, the Advanced Certificates in Leadership Research, you can see that there's 2 pathways for this. Pathway 1 doesn't require any teaching experience within the IB, but you will need to undertake the Certificate in Leadership Practice to obtain that advanced certificate via Pathway 1. Pathway 2, you don't need to go down the route of the Certificate in Leadership Practice for that, but you must have 3 years teaching experience in an IB school to draw from. And the final award, the Advanced Certificate in Learning and Teaching Research, you must have 3 years teaching experience in an IB school. That's the IB prerequisites that determine that. Okay, just to map out sort of a pathway through the MEd, we'll look at a couple of scenarios. The first of these is a typical part-time route that does include the IB Advanced Teaching and Learning Research, so not the leadership routes. This is the alternative IB. So for this, again, you do need the 3 years teaching experience. But you can see there, year 1, you have the Reflecting Upon Practice module plus an optional module that will give you 60 credits. Year 2, you will have the second optional module plus the core of research methods to lead to 120 credits. And then year 3 is a 60 credit double credit dissertation, which will enable you to obtain 180 credits. If you've underpinned all of that study with the IB, then you have the potential for IB eligibility. There are opportunities to exit the programme as PG certificate, diploma, and of course the final MEd. However, that will have implications for any IB advanced teaching and learning research certificate you're requesting or working towards. You must have the full MEd to be able to obtain that advanced award. Okay, the alternative is the MEd and an IB leadership route, and this is a typical part-time route. So if you are going for that initial practice award, then you must have 60 credits at level 11, and as I mentioned earlier, you must undertake the first 2 modules that you can see in year 1 there. If you want to go on to the advanced leadership route, then you will have to undertake optional module 2 plus the research methods to obtain that diploma status, and then the final year, the dissertation, must also have not just the IB focus but also a leadership focus for that as the subject areas, and that will lead you to a eligibility for the Advanced IB Leadership Award. Okay, the study duration, I mentioned there that we have the part-time routes, and that is 1 30 credit module for each semester, and a semester is 20 weeks long. And then for the double credit, the dissertation, that's 60 credits, and that goes over 2 semesters, but you get a little bit extra time there with the break in between, so that equates to 46 weeks. So for part-time route, you are looking at approximately 15 hours of study per week. But we do also offer the fast-track routes where we are doubling up, so you do it in approximately half the time. So the fast-track routes, we're looking at approximately 230 credits within the 1 semester of 20 weeks, or the double credit dissertation takes place over 23 weeks. So for this route, you are looking at approximately 30 hours of study per week, which is a significant undertaking. And I really do request that you think about that. If you think about the fast track route, how does that fit in with your lifestyle and the hours that you may be working within an educational environment? Okay, we do have optional workshops, as mentioned earlier, and these are due to take place on the 12th and 13th of April. These are not mandatory, but they are highly recommended. They're a fantastic opportunity for you to meet with other students as well as some of the tutors, and it's a space for us to start developing that sense of a learning community. The induction workshop will provide an opportunity to gain an understanding of the various mechanisms within the MEd and the university's online learning platforms. It will also give you an opportunity to understand how to use the online library as well as the different support areas. It will enable you to develop an understanding of critical reading, writing and thinking, which underpins your learning at master's level. And feedback from these workshops is always excellent. Students find them really worthwhile and beneficial to moving forward in their studies. It just provides them with that sense of confidence for starting. As tutors, we also enjoy them. We enjoy meeting our students and getting that opportunity to work with you face to face as well. Okay, the entry requirements for the MEd. So for all routes, whether you take a workplace-based route or a non-workplace-based route, depending whether you're currently in employment or not, all routes must have an undergraduate degree. This can be within any discipline. But if your undergraduate degree was not taught in English and English isn't your first language, then you must also have an academic IELTS of 6.5 or equivalent. If you are going to take the workplace-based route, educators who currently work in a relevant setting and wish to enhance their professional learning, then this will be the route for you, and you can then align that practice with the literature that you're reading, so the theory. But also, if you're not currently in employment, you can undertake the non-workplace based route. So you'll be drawing from previous experience along with aligning that with the literature. There is some flexibility of movement within this as well. So if you're currently in a workplace but then find yourself out of work for whatever reason at some point in the future, you can swap over and vice versa. Okay, so some feedback from our students there, as I say, is the workshops it's always positive feedback, but also throughout the entire study, the feedback from students is positive too. And just to finally, the tuition fees you can see there available on the screen. Please do speak to the team at Stafford Associates about some flexible payments and the breakdown for the tuition fees. For students living and working in Africa, a discounted fee may be available, but again, speak to the team or your academic consultant at Stafford. You can see the application deadline is fast approaching, so we don't have much time left for our next intake. So again, please, if you're interested, please speak to the team at Stafford and they'll point you in the right direction with the application procedures as well. Helen has timed that to perfection as always, so it's good to see you back online, Helen, to help respond to some of these questions that I'm sure are coming through.
Good. Yes, thank you so much, Marie. That was very informative. And yes, you're quite correct. We do have quite a few questions that have come through already. Okay, so the first question from Kimberly. I understand that the workshops are not mandatory. However, what is covered in these workshops and how do I get any of the material?
Okay, there's quite a bit covered in the workshop, as in where you're starting from, really, at the very beginning of your studies. So we take you through what it means to be a student, what support you have available. We get you engaging with the systems here at Dundee, as I say, the likes of the library, your materials that you'll be accessing. And then we take you through what it means to be working at level 11, so master's level, through the critical writing, reading and thinking, which really is going to underpin much of your learning and your assignments. It's great opportunities I mentioned there for you to meet with each other, start building that community up, because working at a distance, you do need to be motivated. It's great to have your peers on board to help you motivate that. We know that from previous students, just how important it is. So it is that opportunity to meet with others and start that process.
Okay, from Wala, our work as an early years educator, plus a coordinator with a leadership diploma. I wish to pursue a career in a school. So which program or specialization do you suggest I should take?
I would say that decision really has to come from yourself and what you're aspiring to, because if you're aspiring to a leadership role within the school, then yes, you may want to take that educational leadership pathway, but it may be that you are intent on focusing on another area. It may be, say, inclusive education. So this really needs to come from yourself rather than me telling you what to work towards, but also think about the age range that you wanted to work with as well. So there's a lot to consider there. Okay,
and Catherine's question is regarding the workshops. Yes, we do have a schedule for the workshop, so do get in touch with your academic consultant. They'll be able to provide you with that. The workshops are held in the UAE. So unfortunately, they are not held in any other country at the moment. Okay, but do get in touch with your academic consultant to give you more details on that. Okay, the next question is from Gracie. I can see that there is also a fast track option available. And in your opinion, is this something that I should pursue, bearing in mind that I am very busy and I have 2 kids as well?
Wow, is that bearing in mind that scenario there? If you are also working on top of raising children as well, I think that's quite a large undertaking, because like I say, you really do need to make sure that you can afford 30 hours of study per week, and this is a master's level, so it's quite intense. So I would be very cautious about undertaking fast track if you're working and also you've got family as well.
Okay, and John's question is, at any point throughout my studies, will any of the tutors be able to come out and see me teaching in a classroom? Is that part of this program?
It's not part of the program. We don't need to do that. The way that we assess you is through your writing. So you will be writing about your practice and aligning that with the research that you're reading. And sometimes that means that you're carrying out research within the classroom as well, as in maybe you're developing something that's particular for your subject area or your the age and stage that you're working with, and reflecting on that. But we don't need to come out and observe you teaching.
Okay, and Nupa's question is, how long is a fast track, or how quickly can I finish a program if I am on a fast track option?
Okay, if you're coming in from start without any credit exemption and you do the whole MEd as fast track, we're looking at approximately 20 months. And that's under normal circumstances, so there's no temporary withdrawals or anything like that along the line. But also do remember as well, just on the note of fast track part-time, that if you start fast track and you find it's too much, then there are certain points within your course that we can change you to part-time routes, and that's at the end of each semester. Equally, if you start the part-time route and you find that you could actually undertake more study, maybe you've had a change in circumstances, then again, there's certain times of the year or the study where we can transfer you onto the fast track route. But that's about communicating with the team at Stafford, but also the team here as well, to be able to support you in those changes.
Okay, and Nupa, do get in touch with your academic consultant and we'll be able to advise you as to which specialization you should maybe look at. Your academic consultant would need to ask you a lot more questions and she'll be able to advise you accordingly. Okay. Okay, and Mona's question. Can you please tell me about the assessments? How are these conducted and what should I expect?
Okay, most of these 30 credit modules, so the single credit modules, are assessed by a 5,000 word written assignment. One module that we have now, Innovation in Education, for that you may choose to do the 5,000 written word assignment, or you may choose to present your work to us. You would video a presentation and that would be sent to us. So we have an alternative there. And for these assignments, you do have an opportunity for formative assessments, which will then lead you straight into your summative assignments, which I would highly recommend that you do, because that really does set you in a good place for your assignments. For the dissertation, we're looking at a 15,000 word piece of writing. And I know 15,000 words sounds like a huge amount, but believe me, once you get started on these things, you suddenly realize just how quickly you start running out of words. And one of the things we get asked is, I wish we had more word count to work with, so it does disappear very quickly. But apart from the presentation, all the assignments are a written essay style or report style piece of work.
Okay, I possess an MA in educational leadership. Will this be able to provide me with some exemptions and therefore reduce the duration of my studies?
We would need to look at that, because some MA studies don't provide the full master's level study, so we wouldn't be able to, in that situation, provide you with exemption. If it is a full master's award at level 11, then again we probably wouldn't, well, we wouldn't be able to offer exemption because you've already gained a master's degree for that. So again, you need to, for any credit exemptions, whichever level we're looking at, please do send the information to your academic consultant, making sure that it's clear what level the study was undertaken at, and a transcription that breaks down that study, because without that we can't actually make a judgment.
Absolutely. And we also suggest that you try and submit any learning outcomes or module descriptions, because that will also help the team at the university to make an informative decision on that. Okay. And with regards to the workshops, Wala, yes, do get in touch with your academic consultant and they'll be able to give you more details on the workshops, where they are held, how long they are, all that can actually be given to you by your academic consultant. And Riyad's question is, will there be one assignment for each module, or is there two? So, for example, if I happen to fail my first attempt, can I do the second one?
Okay, no, there is just the one assignment. We hope that you don't fail the first attempt, but it does happen from time to time. At that point, you wouldn't be submitting an entirely different assignment. You will be given really detailed feedback on the first attempt, and then you would be requested to amend that first attempt, and you'd be submitting the same piece of work but with the additions that you've been asked to include. So there's no full brand new written assignment.
Okay, I was working as a school secretary approximately 2 years ago, but I'm now a personal secretary at a manufacturing company. Will I be still accepted on this program?
You do need to have a considerable amount of experience working within the classroom with students, no matter what stage that is. It may be in higher education, but you do need to have that experience to be able to reflect and draw from, because that is a lot of what we're asking you to do within the programme.
Okay, and a further question on the assignments. Once you have provided us with assignments, how long do we have to submit these assignments? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? What is the duration I have to complete a successful assignment?
Okay, you get to know what the assignment is right at the very beginning. We don't keep them hidden from you until so far into the semester. They are there from day one when you log on. So in theory, you could say you have 20 weeks. Just a note again on the fast track and part-time, if you opt for the fast track route, you will be expected to submit 2 5,000-word assignments on the same day, on the same submission day. So just to make that clear as well.
Okay, and will you be able to provide us with some formative feedback on our assignments prior to any final submission? So if I do go wrong somewhere, I know where I need to focus on.
Yes, I'm nodding away there because, you know, we really do want students to take up these opportunities. But yes, all the modules have opportunity for formative assessment, and that equates to 20% of the final assessment, and we give you details on that. What I would say, some modules will ask for it all in one go. Other modules, particularly the earlier modules, so for example, my module, I split that up into two 500-word pieces of writing. So one informs the other, and then that all informs the final assignment. So there's slight variations, but ultimately everybody gets a chance for a formative assessment that helps you with that final piece of writing.
Okay, and if I happen to choose a specific specialization, but halfway through I realize that I want to change, is this possible?
Yes, if you have opted for, say, MEd in international education, but then you want to go for the generic route of leading learning teaching, then that would be possible. There are some caveats to that. So if, for example, you decided you wanted to do change from educational international education to educational leadership, you must have carried out the educational leadership module to be able to make that transfer. So on that note, I would say it depends what you're changing from and to as to whether that is achievable or not.
Okay, and is there any possibility that I can start with a full-time route and then change to a part-time route?
Yes, if you get to the end of the semester and you find that for whatever reason the full-time route or the fast-track route, as we call it, is perhaps too much, because it is quite an intense piece of study, then yes, we can change for the next semester. Or if it's earlier on in a semester, we can make that change. So there are various times when we can do that. But yes, we do try and provide flexibility where possible.
Okay, and John's follow-up question is, can I do the postgraduate certificate and then take a substantial break and then continue?
Yes, you can exit at postgraduate certificate level, and then you have up to 5 years to return to us to continue, and then you can just use those credits that you've already obtained. The same if you are looking for any credit exemption, you have a 5-year period to do that in. So do check your dates on your certificates and things.
Okay, and then Kimberly's question is this program recognized around the world? So is there any possibility that I could teach in America, for example, or perhaps in the UK or in Canada?
Yes, it's a globally recognized qualification. It's a master's degree, and they're recognized everywhere. But as far as whether it will enable you to teach, that depends whether you do have any teaching license and also what the government requirements are to allow that teaching. So you do need to check that out, and that has to be come from yourself to be able to check out depending where you are, because everywhere around the world it has very different rules and regulations for that.
Absolutely. And throughout my studies, if I have some personal reasons where I cannot continue, what is the maximum time period that I can finish this program?
Well, if you decide that for whatever reason that you can't continue at that moment in time, it may be, because I'm not quite sure whether you mean during a semester. If that's the case, then you could opt to take a temporary withdrawal, and that's where we can stop the clock on your studies, and that can be up to a period of 2 years. But again, if you have finished A level, so like I mentioned earlier, postgraduate certificate, and then you want to opt out for a period of time, you have up to 5 years as long as you've kind of exited at that level.
Okay. And I have got 10 years working experience as a principal, but I do not have any formal degrees. Is this something that will be taken into consideration if I apply?
The requirements are that you do have to have an undergraduate degree to enroll or to matriculate onto the master's course. I would say go back to the team at Stafford Associates and see what they can offer you as to whether there's any top-up opportunities, depending on what you already have, to be able to obtain that degree. So please do speak to your academic consultant.
Absolutely. And Catherine's question is, does the 5-year credit exemption mentioned also include someone who already holds a UK recognised PGCE certificate?
Yes, it has to be within the last 5 years, so it doesn't matter where in the world we're from, that's the time limit we have.
Absolutely. And does my qualification state online distance learning, as this is very important for me in the Middle East?
Okay. No, there is no difference between a certificate of what a distance learner would obtain and those on campus with us.
Okay, and one very last question is, will I be able to graduate with all the full-time students? Or if I cannot attend the graduation, how do I get my degree certificates?
Yes, we'd always welcome you over here in Dundee to attend graduation. It's a fantastic celebration. Even if it's raining, we still have a great time, but hopefully it won't be. If you can't make the celebrations in person over here, then you are sent the degree certificate. So what I would say to you is to make sure that if you do change address during any study with us, that you do make sure that your records are up to date. Otherwise, we'll be sending your certificate to somewhere else.
Okay, fantastic. Well, it seems that I've managed to actually group all the questions together. Again, thank you so much, Marie, for joining us all the way from the university, and to everyone that attended this webinar this evening. It was great having you with us, and thank you for all those interesting questions. Okay, as Marie has said previously, we are currently accepting applications for this intake. It starts in April. The application deadline is the 25th of March, so we only have a few more days left, and there are limited seats available. So do send in those applications as soon as possible. Okay, thank you again, Marie, and a good evening to everyone.
Okay, bye-bye now. Thank you.